comes out as the winner in different categories that we have. But right here in studio, of course, I'm joined by the Equity Hawks. Remember, they are the 2018 champions in the Kenya Basketball Federation's Women's Premier League. And also joining us on set is the coach. Remember, earlier on, he hadn't made it to the studio, but now he's here, David Maina. David, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
2018, how's the journey?
The journey was good.
All our
plans went well.
All the plans went well.
Yeah, that's why we are here today.
Of course, we'll be getting back to David and Rose and Denise to talk more about how the 2018 season was, the challenges, and what the ambitions are for the 2019 season. But before we get into that, let's shift gears. Let's get into some football and... Vihiga County Deputy Governor, that is Dr. Patrick Lumumba, has urged Vihiga United players to get back to work, saying the county government has released 2.5 million shillings to the team to pay the dues. Vihiga United players went on strike earlier on this week after going for weeks without pay.
Money has been released, around 2.5 million today for the team to use. And then we have a debt of around 7 million, of which by the end of this month, the government of Vihiga will have squared it. So I don't see any problem for the boys to panic. I know the Christmas is coming, and they may not be sure of their Christmas, but I'm assuring them, on behalf of the governor of Vihiga County, Dr. Wilbur Otichilo, that they are going to be taken care of. We have already released 2.5 million, and 7 million will be released by the end of this year.
Morali yetu iko chini. Kama mjuavyo kwamba wachezaji wetu tangu wiki ianze wamekuwa hawaji mazoezi. Yaani wameanza ule mgomo kwa kutaka pesa zao zilipwe. Hiyo imechangia sana kwa matayarisho yetu kutokuwa mazuri zaidi kwa mechi ambayo tunaenda kucheza Jumapili dhidi ya Sony Sugar.
Well, Vihiga United players have gone a while without pay. Now, let's shift gears, of course, talking about Christmas. That's the Deputy Governor, Dr. Patrick Lumumba, talking about Christmas. And let's get into the Kenya Premier League. A number of teams, of course, will want to battle it out to be on top of the league at Christmas time. And we want to take a quick look at the fixtures for this afternoon in the Kenya Premier League. And, of course, Bandari is seeking to continue with their fine form as they host KCB FC, the newly promoted KCB FC in a Kenya Premier League tie that is currently going on at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. Table toppers, Mathare United will be taking on Ulinzi Stars, and then Western Stima will be out against Kakamega Homeboys. Remember, Kakamega Homeboys, a rejuvenated side after getting a 3-0 win against FC Leopards last week, will be going against Western Stima, which got a 1-0 win against Tusker FC last week. Now, Sofapaka will be seeking to continue with their run as they take on FC Leopards, a team that their coach quit recently to join SuperSport United in South Africa. That match, of course, will be live on KTN Burudani TV at 4:15 p.m. Sofapaka versus FC Leopards, a match that will be played at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. Those are the fixtures for this afternoon in the Kenya Premier League table. We move on to Sunday. Tusker FC, Patrick Matano will be seeking, Robert Matano rather, will be seeking to get his first win of the season as he takes on Mount Kenya United. That is a former Nakumat, a side that has not gotten any points so far in the league. Vihiga United, a side that is rather lost morale, will be taking on Sony Sugar tomorrow, and Zoo FC will be taking on Chemelil Sugar. Those are the matches that have been scheduled for Sunday in the Kenya Premier League. Now, we move on. Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia are in action this afternoon this evening at 6 p.m. They'll be taking on Lobby Stars from Nigeria, and that will be in the CAF Champions League. Now, what stands between Gor Mahia and 54 million shillings is the 90 minutes that they will be playing Lobby Stars. A win for Gor Mahia or a draw will see them into the group stage of the Champions League, having in mind the fact that they won here at home 3-1. And if you did not get a chance to watch them win against Lobby Stars, a match that was played at the Kasarani Stadium, take a look at the highlights from the first leg of the CAF Champions League match between Gor Mahia and Lobby Stars.
very well, actually, the adaptation. Because the way I want them to play, tempo, intensity, high intensity football, and they did. And every day I can see them, they're getting better and better.
Today's match, as a matter of fact, was attitude, not coaching. We lost to attitude.
Well, Gor Mahia, the first leg of the CAF Champions League match that was played at the Kasarani Stadium, Gor Mahia getting a 3-1 win. And now they head into the second leg with a 3-1 aggregate. A draw or a win for the Kenya Premier League champions will see them into the group stage of the Champions League. And in doing so, they will be getting 54 million Kenyan shillings. Now, let's move to the other Kenyan Premier League side that will be in action this afternoon. That is Kariobangi Sharks. They will be taking on Ghana's Asante Kotoko in the CAF Confederation Cup. Now, Kariobangi Sharks settled for a 1-1 draw against Asante Kotoko, and a scoring draw against Asante Kotoko will see them sail through to the group stage of the CAF Confederation Cup, and also a win, or rather either a win for Sharks or a scoring draw. And before they left the country, that is the coach William Luya said that he's optimistic despite not having Eric Kapaito. His side will perform well.
Any win, whichever win we'll get in Ghana, I'm 100% sure we're going to get a win in Ghana. Because they understand the magnitude of the match. Of course, they understand that we'll be playing away. But sometimes I believe playing away is much better than playing at home. Not yet, but who knows? The Angels might visit him tonight and you might see him in Ghana. He's another guy the Angels will visit. So be 100% sure that you might see them in our next match on Saturday. But I can assure you that Sydney will be around. Kapaito, we might wait for a bit longer time, but Sydney is going to be around.
Kariobangi Sharks optimistic of a win or a scoring draw against Ghana's Asante Kotoko. And if they get that, of course, they will be in the group stage of the CAF Champions League. Let's get into cricket now. The national cricket team continues to face a lack of payment of dues after a period faced with uncertainty due to leadership wrangles. However, speaking after an in-house meeting this morning, interim chairman, that is Tom Tikolo, highlighted the involvement of the Ministry of Sports in handling the matter, with the payment of players and staff expected to be completed on Monday.
We agreed that the players and the staff had not been paid their salaries for the last 4 months because of the problems that we've been having in courts and elsewhere. And we agreed that that was going to be a priority, and it would be a joy for us if everybody would be enjoying their Christmas with something in the pocket after 4 months of dryness. So we even got down to write the checks. We were to go to the bank, but then yesterday morning the treasurer decided otherwise, cancelled all the checks, and disappeared from the face of earth. I have had a discussion with the PS, and also I have had a discussion with the CS, and they are surprised on what happened or what the treasurer did, and they've given instructions that we need to formalize all that needs to be formalized as quickly as possible, or else the big road of the government will come over us. So we are looking forward to see that we've sorted out those issues. One of the things that ICC has done is that ICC, throughout this period, has allowed Cricket Kenya to sort its house out. And one of the things that ICC went, and this was the first time it has happened to Kenya, and this is the first time we were called out in an annual general meeting of the ICC with 194 countries there, and we were put on notice. We were told we were being given a year. If we are not able to sort ourselves out, we'll be expelled from the ICC. So we have a deadline up to June 2019 to be able to get our act together. But one of the things that has happened that has also hit us very hard because of all what has been going on is that ICC, I would call them very mildly, are the official funders of Cricket Kenya. And for the last 2 quarters, we have not received funding from ICC.
Of course, we'll be following on that story on Monday to see how, to see whether the players will have received their dues. Then let's move to some basketball now. Eldoret town in Uasin Gishu County is known as the home of athletics due to the number of world-class athletes in the town. Uasin Gishu basketball mentorship team is however seeking to change the perception the town is accorded by training basketball in the country. Led by Patricia Limo, the mentorship team is recruiting children from nearby schools seeking to develop the next set of basketball stars from the county.
Over the holidays, wamekuwa wakikuja hapa from 10 to 12, in which wamekuwa wakitrain for so long. It's almost 2 years now. Walianza last year. Tulianza kwa train last year and so far, saizi as you can see, they're good.
Nilianza ibake August na imenipea skill na talent.
Basketball is my passion. When I'm idle, I come here and play.
Now that we have a seniors team in the Premier League, so it gives us more motivation to keep on bringing the young ones.
Of course, basketball in Eldoret County. Remember, right here in studio, we do have the Equity Hawks team, the champions of the Kenya Basketball Federation Women's Premier League. And of course, after that story from Eldoret, I want to hear from you, Coach. I've seen, David, I've seen you, in a number of basketball clinics. What do you have to say when you see such young children coming, going to such mentorship clinics, wanting to learn more about basketball?
I think for me that is the future of basketball because we have neglected the young ones. So what they're doing in Eldoret, I think they need to be supported. Yeah.
Rose, when that story was playing, you said that the ball was bigger than their head. Is that how you started basketball?
No. By the time I was playing, at least the size was good. For kids, they need at least a smaller ball that it will give them, they will learn. Not only is a bit too big for them to be pushing
Denise,
about.
Is that how you began basketball?
No, like most basketballers, I started in high school.
You started in high school?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Before we get into that, of course, talking about how Equity won the 2018 edition of the Kenya Basketball Federation Premier League, let's take a look at the highlights from Game 4, where they defeated KPA, who are the former champions.
The team playing as expected with the spirit of the Equity family, that we should not give up, resilient, bold and courageous. And they are shown that in not only in this Kenyan League, but also in the East African League.
Well, that is how Equity Equity Hawks won the 2018 edition of the Kenya Basketball Federation Women's Premier League. As we can say, the Hawks are flying high. They're here in studio. And of course, we want to begin with Denise. How was the season? How does it feel being a champion, dethroning KPA?
It feels good, of course. The season was great, better than we had expected, actually. So we are happy. We're ecstatic.
Rose, Denise says the season has been great. You do not expect, to achieve such a big, rather to achieve what you've achieved in 2018. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, we started a bit shaky, but by the time we were in mid-season, I think we had peaked. By the time we were finishing the season, we were assured we were going to go with the 2018 league title.
Coach David, taking a look at the highlights from the final and the way you were gesturing to your players, how intense was the final series?
I think coaching is not that easy. Sometimes I look at the players, even after the game, they go home, they are relaxed. But for me, I have to go through a few things of the previous game that we had played. Like I remember when we played in Mombasa, I went through the statistics to find out where we went wrong in game one. And I identified the areas that we had some weakness, and I even shared with the players before the game so that we can improve in game 3 and game 4. And they did exactly that. Yes.
Rose, you guys went down game 1 in Mombasa, the Makande Gymnasium. Did you see yourselves bouncing back the way you did in game 2 against KPA, having in mind that you are playing away?
Yeah, game 1 we had a bad day in the office. And as the coach said, he identified each player's weakness, and we believe we corrected on that. We won by almost 20 points game 2.
Game 2. Denise, 2018, Equity, Zone 5 champions. You went to the Africa Club Championship, finished 9th, winning the Kenya Basketball Federation Women's Premier League. You know, what drove you to have such a huge success in 2018?
We thank God. We thank God. So I would say God comes first. And apart from that, we had to step up. We had to step up. The previous 2 years, we've had a terrible time. We had just to clean up. So this had to be the year. So we cleaned up. We replaced everyone we could replace. And we did well. Yeah.
Rose, 2018, I mean, you guys played more games, you know, than the other teams in the league. Does it mean that, you know, the other teams cannot match, you know, what you offer when it comes to playing basketball?
As we are lucky from our background, we are able to, our management has provided for us the avenues to better ourselves. We also had the opportunity to go to Zone 5 and the club championships. So we got more experience than the other teams that didn't manage to go for those tournaments. So that's what we maximized on when we came back home to seal the win. Yeah.
So, Coach David, I mean, taking your players to Tanzania, where we had the Zone 5 championships, you won that, and then you went to Mozambique for the Africa Club Championships. You know, of course, you won in Zone 5, but then in Africa Club Championship, you finished 9th. You know, what do you have to say? You know, what was not happening for you?
I think what I can say is that our preparation for Zone 5, we prepared so well. Because I remember we had the interbanks, and for like 1.5 months, we were training like every other day. So we were very sure when we were going for Zone 5 that we were going to win. But unfortunately for the club championship, our training was not that good. And this is something that I'm having a problem with our federation for lack of training venues. We normally train at Upper Hill, and during that time they had exams, and it was an exam center, marking center after that. Actually, I think they must have finished yesterday, so we have not been able to access the venue since that time. So we had to try to see if we can get another venue, and it was not that easy. So most of the time you'll find that we were training half court. So I can say our preparation were not good for the African Championship.
So finishing 9th was basically down to not having rather poor preparation.
Yes, I can say that. Yes.
But let me talk to the lieutenants who are on the ground now in the Africa Club Championships. I mean, bros, how was the experience? Last year you played in the club championships. How was the experience? 2 years in a row, but teams from Kenya still don't seem to match teams from Central, North, and North Africa.
From there, the standards of basketball we came to find out are really different. From there, they are almost professionals compared to us. Then their basketball allows for more contact than ours. So before you get used to that contact and the difference, we really struggled a lot because there was a lot of stuff that we were not used to by the time we were getting there.
Denise, how was the experience for you? Club championships. Of course, you are the champions from East Africa. People were looking at you, you know, expecting to push for the title, but that was not the case.
Yeah, I think like Rose has mentioned, they are more professional than we are. Professional, I mean, their countries organized for friendlies amongst the clubs, amongst region-wise. So they just don't play in their country. They play as a region. But you see, for East Africa, we are mostly just within our countries. Like for Equity, we'll just play the league and just the league. If we get out, it's only for Zone 5 and Club Championship. But you see, for them, they get a chance to do all that even before they get to the competitions. So they're already used to hard games and quality games, if I may call it that. So you get there and you're already an underdog even before the games begin. So we try. We could do better, but yeah, we try.
Coach David, you know, what makes Equity here in the country that good, the way they are?
I think the structures of the team is what has made us to be where we are. We have a team that we are able to manage. At the beginning of the season, we only had 15 players before we acquired two more players. So when you have a manageable team, it becomes very easy for you to work with it. Unlike other teams whereby they normally register more than 20 players, and you often find that they're only playing 12 players in each and every game. So that is one thing. Then the Equity management has really supported us. There's nothing that we have requested from them that they did not provide. And that is one thing that has made my work very easy as a coach, because I don't have to find, to ask players, how comes your shoes are not that good? Because that one is taken care of. By the way, Denise is my team manager. Rose is my assistant team manager. So that is their docket. They normally handle that. Mine is just the technical part. And it makes my work very easy, and even the team, to be able to do things without having to say that we don't have this, we don't have that. Yes.
Of course, the champions, that is the Kenya Premier League, Kenya Basketball Federation Premier League Women's Champions Equity here in studio. We are talking about how the 2018 season has been. We have to take a short commercial break. When we come back, we continue with the conversation. The 2018 Kenya Premier League, Kenya Basketball Federation Women's Premier League champions here in studio, what the ambitions are for the 2019 season. And of course, how they've coped up with the loss of a number of players. But that will be after the short commercial break.